Okay, it's Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. We're in Live Oak, California. I'm with Pastor Dave Bryan and constitutional activist Rick Martin. Cheryl, David's wife, is running the camera. I'm John Knox. Now, this is at the end of a long day of drinking so much information from a fire hose that I think most of us are all kind of like, yeah, wasn't that really great? But what I want to do is get the short story from two guys. We all like to talk. What I want to do is get the short story of what Dave did, which brought Rick into this church, the Church of Glad Tidings, and how I came into it is I only learned about this yesterday, so I may not get all the details right.
Okay.
So you guys can help me out with this, right? But what I want to first say is this was an action, the beginning of an action of people pushing back against the government, right? Now it happens to be a church, and from what I understand, Pastor Dave decided he was going to hold church services. Now keep in mind, we're 51 miles from Sacramento, from the heart of Gavin Newsom's power base. So for a reverend, a pastor?
Pastor, yeah.
See? For a pastor to make that decision that close to Sacramento, that's a problem, right? So what I want to do is let you guys tell the story. I'll ask a question here and there, but it's really your story, okay? And before we start, what happened today for people that saw the live stream? It was about 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night on the website churchofgladtidings.com. churchofgladtidings.com. All of the information for the websites for everybody will be in the show notes. But what happened today with all of the speakers that were legal, that were spiritual, and that were medical, all the different aspects of covering how this problem that we're dealing with, this scamdemic or plandemic, depending on which word you like.
Scamdemic.
Yep.
That's a good one.
These points got covered pretty darn well today.
Yeah, they
Okay? And it brings to mind a quote from William Wilberforce, a British abolitionist. It's okay. It's okay. If the camera lady coughs, that's okay. Wilberforce around 1804 was trying to get the British slave trade abolished. And he was showing some people some of the conditions the British slaves lived under and had to be shipped under. And he said, you may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say that you did not know. And this is what's happened here today, and it's why I'm damn glad to be talking to these two guys. So Dave, Reverend, Pastor,
No, it's
sorry,
just Dave
I'm
works
tired.
for me. That's what
Yeah.
my mama called me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, briefly, what got you to decide to hold church services in light of all the, the mandates?
Well, we've been holding church service here for 33 years. So it wasn't a new thought to have a church service. The only question was, is a decree from a governor going to change that? And the answer is clearly no. So it wasn't a big deal to us. We just kept doing what we've always been doing. One of the things that made it easy, though, is it wasn't our first rodeo. They've come down from Sacramento. They've told us we can't do babies out of bondage. Thought about that. Said, no, we're going to keep doing that. They've come down and told us we had to put a fence around our baptismal area.
Mhm.
We thought about that. No, we're not going to put a fence around it. We've been doing that for years.
So you've been a problem already.
And
I came to the right place. I like this
in their
guy.
point of view. But
Yeah.
to us, it's like, hey, they brought a team of 5 down here from Sacramento. They threatened to fine us $1,500 a day for every staff person, for every day that we'd been doing this ministry called Babies Out of Bondage, which
Right.
was just going into the prisons with
Right.
flyers and telling the women, it was in Chowchilla, it was a women's prison.
Okay.
And we were just telling them, if you're pregnant, we'll meet you at the hospital. We'll raise your baby till you get out and give you your baby back, right?
That's a great
And
service.
that kept them out of
Yeah.
from becoming a ward of the
Right.
state. You
Yeah,
know all the
absolutely.
kind of
Yeah,
terrible stuff that
absolutely.
happens
Absolutely.
in California.
And the child trafficking, or a fraction of it, and that's where I was before the scamdemic happened. Is I always saw what was going on in the family court system and what was going on with CPS, with
Yeah.
child trafficking. And it is horrifying. We're not going to go too far into it because it truly is horrifying. But America right now is under siege.
Yeah.
We're at war
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we, the people, have to stand up and we have to hold our public servants accountable
Right.
for
Right.
their evil doings right
Right.
now. And
Yeah.
by the grace of God, we'll all stand up
Yeah.
like we're
Yeah.
seeing today. Must be the coronavirus there. Or maybe it was Heineken.
Or maybe, yeah, you beat me to it.
But so with that, they came down, and that was an astronomical sum. We had 37 staff people at the time,
Wow.
and we had been doing babies out of bondage for years, so it was millions of dollars. And so we just told them, we're going to pass on shutting it down, and we're going to pass on the fine. We're not doing either one. The guy said, "Are you threatening me?" And I said, "You kidding me? We're doing business here like we always do. You come down from the state and threatened us, and we just told you we're not doing either of those.
Yeah.
If you want to put us in jail, knock yourself out." So we had done that enough to where when this came up, it was just another day at the office.
Right.
Like, no, we're not going to cooperate.
Right.
So I never really thought too much about it. But I was very disappointed that so many pastors folded so quickly
Right.
and without any thought about it. Just
No,
like,
no,
oh
no,
yeah,
no struggle, no
Oh,
wiggle, just, okay.
No, there was a
They
lot of
just-
pastors just closed their church
they
up.
just closed
Yeah.
their church.
Yeah.
The first week that happened, one pastor said, "They're saying this is the new normal. How will we do church after this?" And I thought, wow,
Yeah.
you know, that
Using the buzzword, the new normal.
golly.
Yeah.
But my
Yeah.
thought was like, does this even mean anything to you?
Mm-hmm.
And even if it didn't in the spiritual sense, what about just basic American freedom?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether there was faith involved,
Mm-hmm.
or how about just saying, wait a minute, we can't be manipulated by that, and we won't be. But they just caved in, and it's been really a sad thing to watch. I think you said today that this scamdemic,
Scamdemic,
Yeah.
yes.
but it showed us a lot about the weakness, the intrinsic weakness of what I call the great American religious enterprise. You know?
Absolutely.
Because there's just not much commitment to it in a lot of cases.
And, you know, over years of programming, think about it. Tell a vision.
Yeah,
They're telling a
exactly.
vision. You've got
Yeah.
channels,
Yeah.
channeling,
Yeah,
And it's
Programming.
programming. Bingo.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
and I got to stop and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How obvious can you get? Yeah.
When you look at how much things have changed over the time, we had Leave It to Beaver,
Yeah,
and now we have Cuties.
yeah, I know.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Right, right,
And it's slow manipulation
Yeah.
of the mindset and brainwashing.
right.
And
Yeah.
I need some water.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Here, I know. Right
Okay.
where to get that.
So, to back up just a little bit, because we're all good storytellers, how did you find out about what was happening here at the Church of Glad Tidings?
grace of God, always.
Okay.
The amount of people I've met, thank you, sir. The amount of people I've met,
Oh, incidentally, did we really establish that Rick is a constitutional
lawyer,
lawyer?
Lawyer.
Right. Constitutional lawyer. He assists in anything in a court that has to do with a constitutional problem.
I've defended police officers. Right now we have 3 sheriffs that are on recall, and we're trying to get one sheriff his guns back, which were unlawfully taken from him. And that's what we're working on as well, and getting them out of recall because they have no lawful authority. A prosecutor does not have the authority to override your sheriff.
Yeah.
Your sheriff can arrest anybody in his county, including the President of the United States in his county or the governor. And that's what most people are unaware of, is the power of the sheriff to protect we the people. And if he stands up to his oath and stands up against the tyranny,
Right.
we can take our nation back one county at a time.
So, to actually clue in the folks who are listening, the event today was United We Stand?
Yeah. We're standing, united
What
we
was it?
stand
What
against
was it
tyranny.
called? Freedom.
I'm
I'm old. I don't have a memory anymore. I saw the flyer
what was
once.
this called? It was called Take.
Taking back
something
American
for-
freedom. I
Right.
remember.
Yeah.
And there was
But
also
it's-
uniting the people with the sheriffs. So I think the most important thing here is, Rick brings up a good point. A lot of sheriffs don't understand the true authority of their
Free
office,
American.
or if they do, they just really kind of don't
Yeah,
really want to
they're political
admit it.
animals,
Exactly.
and that's what we don't need right now is political animals.
Right.
We need men with backbone,
Yeah.
women with backbone,
Which is what
that
Pastor
will
Locke
stand.
said.
Yeah.
I want to make sure this guy's got a backbone
Yeah,
before I
right.
ordain him.
And I'm not going to brag on myself, but I mean, I've got so much of a backbone. I will
Yeah.
make a train take a dirt road, then cross me. Okay, and that is by the grace of God. And I'm going to say that
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
made us who we are,
Yeah.
and we just got to act on it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
men and women of strength, you know your calling, and I've known this since I was 4 years old, that I had a calling, and my calling was to be a defender of we the people.
And God knew you had a calling too. And how many times did He keep you alive? Did you say?
I've been DOA 7 times. The longest time I was DOA
tough.
was over 10 minutes.
Wow.
They had told my family that I wouldn't make it through the night, and if I did, I was going to be a vegetable for the rest of my life. At that time, I was a real workaholic. I was in ICU for 2 days. I don't recall this. This was what was told back to me. My father was in there moving my legs and what have you, and he'd been talking to me for about 2 hours. No response, no response. And my father just happened to say, "Richard, what are you going to do when you get out of the hospital?" My mom said my eyes opened up as wide as saucers, and the first words out of my mouth were, "Go back to work." I don't recall that, but on the 3rd day, I'm waking up in ICU, and this is phenomenal. I don't know I'm in a hospital. I don't know my own name. I don't know what's going on, but I had all the things plugged in me. I'm pulling them out. Things are going beep 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 beep. I have no idea what the heck's going on. I get out of the bed, you got that little thing showing your backside,
yeah.
and I open the door, and I've got like 8 nurses there, like pale white, like, "Oh my God, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, I don't even know who I am, but the first words out of my mouth is, "I just need a cup of coffee and a cigarette." I am not kidding you. Those are the first words I remember saying. I just need a cup of coffee and a cigarette. But they were trying to hold me in the hospital for 2 weeks. I forced myself out in 1 week.
Yeah. Was this during your military career?
Yeah, this is all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went off an overpass that was almost 7 stories high.
Whoa.
Went through the pine trees. And
In your car.
in my Tahoe.
Okay.
I got run off the road by a drunk driver going the wrong way on the toll road.
Wow.
And I remember seeing the tips of the pine trees as I'm coming
Holy.
through them.
Mhm.
And it's just crunch, crunch. And I remember saying out loud, I said, "Oh God, this is going to hurt, isn't it?
That's exactly what I was thinking you were going to say. Exactly.
Oh God, this is going to hurt."
Yeah.
The Tahoe flipped 5 times, and about the 3rd time the transmission came through and threw me through the driver's side window.
Wow.
And there's another one of those by grace of God.
Yeah.
That well, let me see.
Anywhere is okay.
Anyway,
Which brings me to a good cutoff point. If you want an attack dog on a constitutional issue, look at who I'm pointing at, okay? So once again, to bring us back, because Cheryl can only stand here for so long, you're
Right.
doing a great job. How did you find out about what Dave had decided to do?
when I heard, I said, "That's our guy," and he heard about me, and it was like I said, it was a union by the grace of God.
And where had you been before you came here?
I was originally in Washington, went
Right.
down to Oregon,
Right?
and
was
then
what-
from Oregon made our way
Yeah,
here.
but the event in Wacomish?
It was Snohomish.
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 Snohomish. Okay.
And that was when I was defending Bob the Barber up there.
Right.
And then the house church was the one where we held our first event, and was a smashing success.
So what I believe happened in a nutshell is Rick found out about Bob the Barber up in Snohomish. And Bob was going to get shut down by the local authorities for, not shutting his business. I mean, he was going to get jailed and all that.
79-year-old Marine that had a barbershop for 50 years. And I
That
said,
is-
not on my watch.
Come
I
on.
traveled 38 hours straight
From Texas.
from Texas to protect Bob
Bam.
the Barber.
That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not on my watch, and that goes for anybody,
Yeah.
including sheriffs that are being attacked by
Yeah.
government officials unlawfully.
Yeah.
And I will stand, and we do everything on donations alone.
That's-
We do not.
that's
I've
awesome.
spent, and as you know,
That is
I've spent
awesome.
over $100,000 of my own money trying to protect the innocent.
That is awesome.
I left $10 at the door. So,
I'll tell you what happened from our point of view.
Yeah.
I had heard about you, and I had even announced it publicly. And I said, we have to get the word out. There are a lot of good people. I just mentioned to the church, there's even a constitutional attorney that is defending people for free.
mhm.
We have to get the word out that they're willing to help because everybody feels alone and abandoned, which
Right.
is exactly what they're trying to make everybody feel.
Bingo.
That's correct.
Bingo.
And then I got a call, and they said, we have this thing all planned. You guys are open. A lot of people aren't. Would you host us? And I hung up the phone. I said, "You're not gonna believe this." I would.
That
I would
is-
have. I loved the whole idea, and you had it all fixed up. And that, It was the grace of God. It was
My
a divine
team,
connection.
is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And my team came together in a time of crisis, and it's all by the grace of God. And like I
It
said,
was
me
amazing.
being DOA over 10 minutes, I don't live on faith alone.
Yeah.
I know that I have a creator.
Yeah, right.
And I remember my attitude when I came out back was, you can stay or you can go. And I said, I've got a lot more to do.
Come on.
And I came back,
Come on.
and by the grace of God, we are working miracles in His
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
And I
It's a
mean
beautiful
that.
thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And it was about 8 days between the time that
It was
you
8
actually
days.
Was it
made
8
a
days?
It was
contact.
8 days.
Right.
The last one we did, we got it put together in 12 days. And then we didn't have internet for 2 days here, so
Yeah.
we were like kind of. And then I was at Apple Bistro waiting on OSHA, so I could run them out of there.
Oh, wow.
An hour and a half away from
Right,
here.
right.
So by the time we got back here, what we have done is only by the grace of
Yeah.
God. The amazing power of
Yeah.
what's happened and what's
Yeah.
transpired is an absolute blessing.
So what we're all talking about is what happened today here at the Church of Glad Tidings in Live Oak, California. There was a meeting of people who want to learn more about this plandemic, but also, more importantly, which is what drew me up here, is to educate people about how to work with their county sheriff, right? A county sheriff is elected, and he is as good as the backing of the people in his county. So if the people understand he can help us because he's the ultimate legal authority, I believe
He's the
I'm getting this
executive
right,
officer.
in
That's
that
awesome.
county, right? So if a mandate, which we're learning, mandates are not laws, if a mandate gets issued on a certain subject, if the sheriff hears from his constituency, we don't want that, or if he decides on his own,
Yeah.
and he'll go to his constituency and say, will you back me on this? That's the concept that we're dealing with.
And the
Because-
Constitution. The Constitution is a contract. It doesn't give us our rights. And I have to always say this. We do not have constitutional rights. We never did. We never will. The Constitution
Protects.
is a contract. We have unalienable rights.
Right.
We created the Constitution for government. We delegated. The word is delegated limited power to government to protect our rights, protect our borders, and to coin our money.
Come on.
And where are we going with that?
Yeah.
We got the Federal Reserve dealing with our currency,
Yeah.
and how good are they doing at
and
protecting
charging
our borders?
charging us interest
Yes,
to print
they're-
the currency.
That's exactly correct. So
Oh
the
boy. Yeah.
I say, we the people have to wake up and smell the coffee because it's brewing. If we lose this republic, we lose it forever. And I just assume give my life trying to defend it than to sit back and live in tyranny.
That's why I'm here.
And
That's why I'm
so
here.
go to Rick's Constitutional Law Group
US. Yeah.
and there's all kind of great material there. And I just want to thank you. It exceeded what I had hoped for. It was
Well,
awesome.
it's been my pleasure. And John,
Hey,
thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad I made the effort to get here. I mean,
Yeah.
this has been
Pleasure.
great.
Pleasure.
The thing that I want to tell you about is the live stream that they put together here included credentialed doctors and I'm not going to remember everything that was on the live stream today, but it's worth going to the Church of Glad Tidings.com to find. Will the live stream be available? As a
yes,
recording?
yeah, it'll be.
You'll find Dr. Judy Mikovits. You'll find Dr.
She's
Sherry
awesome.
Tenpenny.
Yeah.
You'll find a whole bunch of really dedicated sheriffs. The names I can remember: Bob Songer, and of course Sheriff Mack. They each one of them gave like 20
Sheriff
minutes
Lamb.
of time.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Sheriff
Wow.
Lamb has got a 3,000 member, what do you call it?
A
Posse
posse?
Tommy Thomas.
Yeah.
And
That boy
awesome.
put some wood on the wall, man.
There it
We're
is.
gonna re-listen to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the spiritual speakers, all Christian. I'm not familiar with them, but Pastor Locke got my attention.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
Greg
he was
Locke.
He
fun.
was from the house church where
Yeah.
we did our first.
Okay. I mean, as soon as he said, "Well, now what cranks my motor is
Yeah.
so and so,"
Right,
I
right.
said, "I like this guy."
Yeah, he's a good guy. Good old boy.
All right, so that's basically it. Anything else you guys want to say before we give Cheryl a chance to see if her arm still works?
I said we just give a salute to the American people and say stay in the fight and
Come on.
stand up for your rights.
Right.
It's basically, if we don't do this now, some of the encroachments that we've already experienced will never ever be given back.
Yeah.
It's all going to be, well, if you do this, then we'll give you back this. And this is why this type of action I don't see any other way out of this.
No.
You know.
No.
Okay, so it's Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. I'm John Knox. Rick Martin, Pastor Dave Bryan.
Brian.
I got it!
Yeah.
Oh boy, and I'm so tired, I'm surprised I'm standing. But
Yeah, it's
No.
been a long day.
one of the most important things that I always recommend people to do is cultivate your common sense, because we're living in a world which asks you to divorce yourself from your common sense. It's seducing you into don't pay attention, just do what you're told and you'll be fine. When you cultivate your common sense, you're going to find more and more reasons to stay curious.
Absolutely.
Awesome.